Jay-Z and Diddy and a teenager, 13-year-old
Right.
teenager. What did you feel about just that whole thing, man?
As much as people feel like I haven't had issues with Puffy. I don't like him like that. Like, I don't like things that you do. But Jay definitely.
50 Cent has returned, and it's difficult to ignore how he's lighting up the industry this time. Diddy isn't the only focus anymore. Memes and one-liners aren't the only things that get clicks. It's more profound. It's planned.
It hasn't even been a full week since the shocking new sexual assault allegations against Jay-Z have come out, and already we are seeing quite the reaction from some pretty high-profile people. Let's see what some celebrities had to say about Sean Carter's legal development and bombshell claims against Jay-Z. Sean Carter, in that federal sexual assault lawsuit, an unnamed Jane Doe is accusing the rapper and business mogul of raping her at a VMA's after party back in 2000 when she was just 13 years old. A party thrown by none other than Sean Diddy Combs, who she says also sexually assaulted her that night. In fact, she claims in her amended complaint, which now lists Jay-Z as the defendant, when it was first filed in October, by the way, he was only labeled as Celebrity A, but now he's been identified as Sean Carter, Jay-Z. But in the complaint, it states, Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. The complaint says that Jay-Z then raped this teenager, and then Diddy proceeded to rape her as well. And by the way, this allegedly was in a bedroom while an unnamed female celebrity watched the assault. And this Jane Doe has sued both men for this alleged assault under the Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, which provides a look-back window to sue for claims that would otherwise be too old, barred by a statute of limitations issue. It just has to be a violent act that was motivated by someone's gender. So here the idea is that she was an underage girl, she couldn't consent. And remember, this all comes as Sean Combs is sitting in the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, on federal sex crimes charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. That he operated a criminal enterprise that engaged in a campaign of abusing women and using illegal methods to coerce people to engage in prolonged sex performances with male sex workers. It wasn't just us reacting to this Jay-Z news, no. Celebrities have been reacting to it as well. And I think a good place to start would be with rapper 50 Cent. Why? Why him? Because he has already been quite vocal during the Sean Combs legal saga. For instance, after the raids by federal agents on Combs' properties months ago, before his arrest, 50 Cent posted on Instagram, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." And he has posted several memes mocking Combs' legal troubles. He also shared a video from someone on social media that called Combs too freaky for society. And when Combs was officially arrested, he took to Instagram. He posted a picture of him and Drew Barrymore and wrote, "Here I am, keeping good company with @the Drew Barrymore Show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." Obviously a reference to the amount of lubricant and baby oil that prosecutors revealed were recovered from Sean Combs' properties. And in fact, I should also tell you that 50 Cent is reportedly working on a Netflix documentary about Combs' legal troubles. But when it comes to Jay-Z, what did he say? He said a few things, or he did a few things. So first, I should tell you that there doesn't appear to be any love loss between the two of them, because back in the day, the two had a beef, at least through lyrics.
Additionally, it is attracting those who were previously thought to be untouchable. Jay-Z is one of the names. Let's be clear now. For years, the 50s have been making fun of Diddy. On the surface, this is nothing new, but this time, something feels different. The emphasis, the tone, and the regularity. He's not merely making jokes to amuse his fans. He seems to be purposefully drawing attention to something darker by laying up a pattern and giving clues. Something that has been discussed in private for years, but has never truly made it into the public eye. And everything changes when he begins to include Jay-Z in that story. Jay-Z has always been strategic and cautious. He stays out of the chaos in the industry. Drama doesn't affect him. He lets the music, business transactions, and billion-dollar enterprise do the talking. 50's strategy is intriguing because he is aware that Jay won't return the clap. He is aware that Jay plays chess rather.
Released the song How to Rob, in which he seems to suggest robbing Jay-Z. And Jay-Z put out a song called It's Hot, Some Like It Hot, in which he rapped, I'm about $1, what the F is 50 Cent? Now, although they had performed together in the past, maybe patched things up or looked like things were okay, doesn't really look like they're besties, because I mean in 2011, 50 told MTV News, we don't have those kinds of relationships. These people are people I associate with. We're in the same business. We're not necessarily friends. We don't call each other for no reason. And I should tell you, if you had any doubt about their friendship, well, what did 50 Cent do just in the wake of this Jay-Z lawsuit? Well, he posted on Instagram a meme of him in a car with the caption, okay, I don't know what's going on, but are we going to still have the Super Bowl? Worried emoji? I'm just asking for a friend. That, of course, is in reference to the fact that for the last few years, Jay-Z and his company Roc Nation helped to produce the Super Bowl halftime show. But he really wasn't done there, because you know how right after the lawsuit was filed, I mean less than 24 hours, Jay-Z, his wife Beyonce, their 12-year-old daughter Blue Ivy, and Beyonce's mom Tina Knowles attended the LA premiere of Mufasa, the Lion King. This is what we talked about in a previous sidebar. But now, in a deleted post on Instagram, 50 Cent wrote, Jay said they said I raped the kid. Everybody get dressed, we're gonna see Mufasa. Seemingly poking fun at him for going to a movie premiere in the wake of these brand new allegations. Now, to be clear, Beyonce and Blue Ivy both star in that movie. I don't think that they could have avoided the premiere, but maybe some would say you shouldn't have showed up. I don't know. But anyway, I will tell you, I interviewed body language expert Susan Constantine about how Jay-Z appeared at that premiere and whether it told us anything based on his body language. Take a look.
When I look at Jay-Z, you can see his lips pursed. That is a form of agitation. So when we look at that, when people purse or tighten their lips, it tells you a little bit about their cognitions, maybe that he's not really enjoying this as much as he's portraying when he was walking on. And what I'm looking for is a cluster. I see a horizontal stressor right across his forehead, and then he has his hand in his pocket. So we've got three things, which is a cluster. You would think that Jay-Z would have incorporated Beyonce into the mix by putting his arm around Beyonce's waist. We didn't see that here. So that's why I'm saying there's almost like a separation, two different frames. Beyonce, of course, alliances are with her daughter. You can see her leaning her head towards her daughter. Her daughter is out up front, is almost in a princess type of positioning. So overall, when I'm looking at this, the mannequin type of stance that Tina has, the agitation that Jay-Z is concealing. So what I mean by that, it's not an outward or expression. It's actually micro expressions of showing you what some of cognition might be.
But going back to 50 Cent for a second, you know what else he apparently did? Because it didn't end there. He apparently posts an AI-generated video of Jay-Z and Sean Combs in tuxedos getting arrested by police with the caption, I want to post this, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. LOL, laughing emoji. Now, one other thing I have to mention about 50 Cent before we go to other celebrities. So he sat down for an interview with personality Big.
However, what happens if someone like 50, who enjoys controversy and isn't frightened of anyone, chooses to turn that quiet against you? 50 has been promoting a story with his platform over the past few weeks. In addition to typical industry events, he has been discussing these so-called industry parties. These are the ones that are discussed in private group conversations and blogs. They have stories that seem too unbelievable to be true, but after hearing them from enough people, you begin to question. You have tales of blackmail, power struggles, bizarre initiation-style ceremonies, and parties that transform from glitzy to hideous behind closed doors. Diddy is in the epicenter of that storm. Once more, there are accusations. In court, nothing has been proven. However, when numerous voices, old acquaintances, bodyguards, and artists begin to speak, even if they withhold certain information.
A lot of this. He said, I haven't had issues with Puff where I don't like him. I don't like things that he would do that make me uncomfortable. And in terms of Jay-Z, he said, I just hope things are all right for him internally. I mean at the crib. because in the statement they mentioned his daughter being old enough to, because she about 13, so it's the same age as these kids they saying he did something to. And he also said the damage is already done by the allegation itself. And he even claimed that the NFL regarding the Super Bowl show, quote, will fall back in light of this lawsuit, and they won't necessarily be associated to that, meaning the NFL, they won't necessarily stick with Jay-Z. Now, in terms of what he said about Jay-Z's home life, he seems to be referencing Jay-Z's statement that was put out after the filing of this complaint. And the statement accused Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, of trying to blackmail him to settle the case before filing what he claims are false allegations. And he said the following: "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit." So that was basically what 50 Cent had to say so far. But going back to Tina Knowles, remember I mentioned her, I want to talk about her for a second and talk about her, I don't want to say reaction to Jay-Z's lawsuit, because as you'll see, she says this really wasn't her, but something very curious happened. There were reports that Tina Knowles liked an ABC7 Chicago Instagram post about the lawsuit, with the caption reading, "Sean Jay-Z Carter and Sean Diddy Combs are accused of raping a then 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards," according to an amended civil lawsuit that was filed Sunday. So, did she really like that? Well, she says no. In an Instagram post, she denied liking the post, claiming her account was hacked, writing, "As you all know, I do not play about my family. So if you see something uncharacteristic of me, just know that it is not me. And please stop playing with me. No weapon formed against my family shall prosper." And of course, as I mentioned, she attended the Mufasa premiere with Jay-Z and the family and looked in good spirits. So maybe that reaction wasn't really a reaction. But I will tell you who did react: Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. So let me set the stage for this one. So we go to the December 10th broadcast of Inside the NBA on TNT. And there is a discussion among the group of Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaq, and Barkley about who could face off against commentator Stephen A. Smith on the basketball court. So at one point, Charles Barkley says to Smith, "You said the man isn't on your level. Stephen A. played college basketball." Now Smith defends himself, says that he's a champ, and then he says to Shaq, "Listen, man, do you think Jay-Z or..." And he starts to trail off. And before he can finish his thought, Barkley jumps in and goes, "Probably not a good time right now." All the panelists start laughing. The crew in the background starts laughing. Smith jokes and says, you're silly, man, while shaking his head. And then Shaq gets up, walks off stage, and hides behind a pillar in a joking fashion as Ernie Johnson says, "Go and see if you can fix the wall, will you?"
It becomes impossible to ignore the noise. And now 50 people are adding fuel to the fire. However, he guides them rather than only admiring them. He either explicitly or indirectly identifies people before allowing the general public to make the connections. It hits differently when he tweets something that suggests Jay-Z might have been there at these parties, might have been aware of what was happening, or might have even taken part in some capacity since. In contrast to Diddy, Jay-Z doesn't have a lengthy history of public feuds. He is revered. He is seen as one of the adults present. 50 is now endangering that entire image. What is the motivation then? Is it intimate? Is it a business matter? Or is 50 attempting to set the entire house on fire? According to some, it dates back decades. From the beginning, those 50s had problems with the so-called gatekeepers of the industry. Because he never liked the game he was made to play when he was up. He never had faith in it. He now sees a chance to finally say, "I told you so," and reveal what he feels has been kept too long buried when he sees federal investigations, lawsuits, scandals, and fissures in the foundation. He's clever about it, too. He avoids making outright charges. He makes use of implication. He relies on recommendations. He uploads old pictures, writes mysterious captions, and then disappears. However, his audience is well aware of his actions. They grab it and take off. All of a sudden, there are forums teeming with theories, podcasts delving further, individuals retrieving early 2000 material, attempting to match timelines, and attempting to interpret old body language, lyrics, and interviews. It turns into a digital archaeological game.
She was raped by both of these musicians at a Video Music Awards after party back in 2000. And now Jay-Z, who is adamantly denying the allegations, is not only trying to get the whole case dismissed and thrown out, but he is also asking the court to impose sanctions upon Jane Doe's Texas attorney, Tony Busby. Now, this may sound very familiar, by the way, because this has been an ongoing legal war between Busby and Jay-Z and his legal team. Accusations that Busby engaged in extortion, that his firm pressured a client to lie, that Jay-Z's camp has been engaging in intimidation and harassment. Jay-Z called Tony Busby a deplorable human being. He even filed a lawsuit against Tony Busby. And by the way, Jay-Z and his legal team, their position was that Busby had extorted the rapper, that Busby allegedly threatened Jay-Z during negotiations that he would go public with these claims. Jay-Z says these are false claims, but public with these claims unless Jay-Z agreed to pay what they claim is a, quote, exorbitant sum in private mediation within a 2-week period. Jay-Z says that when he refused, that is when he was named by Tony Busby in the lawsuit. Remember, this lawsuit first came out. It was only identified as unnamed celebrity A, and then in an amended complaint, Jay-Z was identified as celebrity A. So you're seeing this really bad blood between the different players here. I mean, it got so bad that the judge in this case, Judge Annalisa Torres, actually scolded Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, writing in a recent order, Carter's lawyer's relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client. The court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it. Now, despite not allowing Jay-Z to immediately file for sanctions, Judge Torres did permit Jay-Z to file the motion that we're about to talk about. And this is big. So this is Jay-Z's memorandum of law in support of his motion for sanctions and dismissing the complaint. So basically, these are his legal arguments. So the filing begins right on page 1. While the allegations stated in the complaint in this case are gravely serious and injurious to Mr. Carter's hard-won reputation, many of them, on their face, strain the outer bounds of credulity, and none of them appear to have been subjected to even the most rudimentary diligence by the filing attorney who initially signed his name to them and has since declined to withdraw them. Because the federal rules and professional ethics require more of a filing attorney, Mr. Carter now respectfully seeks appropriate sanctions. And by the way, when we're talking about sanctions under Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, we're talking about a way to punish attorneys for really bad conduct. Usually it's a monetary punishment. It's rare. It's rare. You don't see this all the time. You have to be talking about really egregious bad behavior. Rule 11, it's about making false representations to the court, filing a lawsuit for an improper purpose, like merely to harass someone, that you're asserting claims or defenses that are not backed up by the facts, the law, the evidence. The bottom line here is that Rule 11 requires attorneys to conduct reasonable inquiries into the facts and into the law before they file. Makes sense, right? Well, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, claims that Tony Busby violated Rule 11 by, quote, either knowingly making false allegations about Mr. Carter in the amended complaint, failing to conduct an adequate investigation into the complaint's factual allegations, or at a minimum, failing to withdraw the complaint once it became clear that numerous allegations in the complaint are false and the other allegations.
Attempting to determine who is aware of what and when. Jay-Z is more than simply a rapper. Therefore, it's a big deal if his name even comes up in a story of that nature. He is a brand. He is businesslike. He has connections to the NFL, international alliances, and billion-dollar values. And that kind of empire is poisoned by scandal, particularly this kind. Here's the problem, though. Jay-Z is still silent. Nothing, no declaration, no denial, no threat of legal action, which is quite appropriate for him, to be fair, unless it is on his terms. He seldom ever interacts with anything. However, quiet might mean several things. It's professionalism to some. Others see it as evasion. 50 is aware of that. His tactic is effective because of this. He saturates that quiet with chatter, conjecture, and breadcrumbs that simultaneously lead nowhere and everywhere. Let's also take a moment to discuss Diddy. Because party rumors are no longer the only thing at stake here. Legal inquiries are underway. His loved ones are being subpoenaed. Former co-workers are retaliating. The barriers are getting closer. The commentary about the 1950s also becomes more incisive as more stories are released. He isn't merely roasting. He is suggesting that there is an entire system and network. Diddy was only one component of it. That more significant figures are involved but haven't been made public yet. Therefore, 50 knows that people are already inclined to assume the worst. We begin to imply that Jay-Z might be one of those names, even if he does so in jest or meme form. We've been taught by the industry to scrutinize everything and to anticipate hidden realities beneath the lustrous exterior. And it's nearly impossible to get rid of that skepticism once it's in a room. This is when things become even more messy. Speaking off the record has become common among insiders, claiming that 50 is not merely a joke.
Are therefore at least highly suspect. So what do they mean by these allegations are false? Well, here is where it gets a little tricky for Jane Doe, because NBC News actually interviewed her, and they looked into this case. They looked into her claims. And here's what the filing says. NBC News journalists determined that a number of allegations were either false or highly doubtful. For example, paragraph 44 of the complaint claims that the party, again, this is the party where she claims she was assaulted, the party occurred at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway that was approximately 20 minutes from the VMAs by car. But photographs show that after the VMAs, Mr. Carter attended a party at Lotus, a nightclub in New York. And by the way, there is a photo included here provided by Alex Spiro of Jay-Z at what appears to be a party with a lot of people. Later on in the memorandum, he writes, other photographs from that evening also show Mr. Combs with his then girlfriend, the musician and actress Jennifer Lopez, at two different establishments, Lotus and Twirl, neither of which was a large residence with a U-shaped driveway. And there is another photo that is included. This time it's of the pair, Jennifer Lopez, Sean Combs, and there is a caption at the bottom that says that they are at a MTV Video Music Awards after party at Twirl on September 7th, 2000. But that is not the only alleged inconsistency. You see, Jane Doe has claimed in her complaint that she was able to escape this situation and run away to a nearby gas station, call her father to pick her up. Well, the filing says paragraph 60 states that after the alleged assault, plaintiff's father drove to pick her up. But her father has no recollection of doing so, despite the fact that it would have been a 10-hour drive round trip to retrieve his 13-year-old daughter from a random gas station. And yeah, that was included in the NBC report. It was a big part of it because this accuser's father told NBC, quote, I feel like I would remember that and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind. Now, Spiro continues in this filing saying paragraph 46 states that plaintiff spoke to celebrities at the alleged party, but when journalists pressed her as to which celebrity she spoke with, she named a person who was in Chicago that evening performing a concert. So Spiro explains a little bit more about this later on in the filing, where he writes, plaintiff also claimed with certainty that she spoke with musician Benji Madden at the alleged party about his tattoo, The Last Supper. She supposedly remembers this interaction with clarity because she has a religious background, so it was something to talk about. But Mr. Madden was not even in the state of New York. His representative told NBC that he did not attend the VMAs and in fact was on tour in the Midwest with his band Good Charlotte. Then, Spiro writes, paragraph 40 states that plaintiff watched the VMAs on a Jumbotron. In fact, photographs from that evening show there was no Jumbotron, as New York City had denied MTV a permit. And included, also by Jay-Z's legal team, is a screenshot of what appears to be a video, so it's a still shot, from a YouTube video that is titled 2000 MTV VMAs Red Carpet. And it appears that someone is performing on an outdoor stage in New York, but from that pic, yeah, you don't see a Jumbotron. Then, Spiro continues, and the same paragraph says that plaintiff approached limousine drivers at the VMAs. And by the way, the allegation was there is that a limousine driver had taken her to this party. But, Spiro writes, video shows that the limousine area was cordoned off by police and inaccessible to fans. And included is another screenshot of that same video from YouTube of the exterior of the Radio City Music Hall where the VMAs was being held. And you see limousines outside.
That he has heard rumors of genuine stories, actual receipts being circulated, rumors of non-disclosure agreements, people being bought off, and secrets that have been kept a secret for years. And the consequences would be disastrous if even a small portion of that were true. Because, once more, Jay-Z is more than simply a celebrity. He is a cultural icon and a pillar of contemporary hip-hop. The biggest names in fashion, sports, and technology have collaborated with him. It begs uneasy concerns about what individuals knew, what they chose to overlook, and how far the rot truly runs if his name is included in this kind of story, even if it is only mentioned in passing. Jay-Z, however, says nothing. As usual, at events, he has been photographed. He has been seen at the court. There are no indications of panic or public relations blitz, only silence, which would indicate that he is either getting ready for something significant behind the scenes, or that he is very certain this won't affect him. In the meantime, 50 keeps becoming worse, not carelessly, but on purpose. He publishes a post, allows it to gain widespread attention, removes it, and then publishes another angle. He seems to be playing a long game, gradually revealing more layers and challenging anyone who dares to do so. No one has a cease and desist, however, either legally or publicly, and that's what keeps the fire burning the most. People are beginning to question if this is just the beginning of something far bigger. Are we witnessing the beginnings of an industry-wide reckoning? Because this isn't just about music. It's about power, control, and corruption at the highest levels if 50 is correct, and even half of what he's saying is accurate. And everything changes if Jay-Z has a direct, indirect, conscious, or unconscious connection to that. It reinterprets the last 20 years. The relationships, business transactions, and the emergence of Roc Nation. It makes people confront difficult concerns about the true cost of success in this field. And for that reason, the voice of 50 is important now. Not because he is flawless or objective, but rather because he is fearless. He has no obligation to these individuals. He's established his brand, made his money, and isn't following the same guidelines. He is therefore risky, erratic, and possibly one of the few individuals who will speak up when others won't. What comes next in this situation? That is the crucial question. Will more people begin to voice their opinions? Will there be legal action? Will Jay-Z be compelled to answer at last? Or will all of this disappear? Another online conflagration that rages and then dies? What happens next will determine that. The industry is aware that we are just getting started if 50 has more to reveal, or if he is sitting on something explosive. You can sense the tension, the silence from some factions, the caution of the media, and the abrupt avoidance of public appearances by some celebrities. It's no accident. Fear is that, because truth has a humorous way of coming to light. It rarely comes out clean when it does. It has repercussions and causes harm. And someone will slip if 50 keeps pressing, making connections and leaving hints. And everything could fall apart when they do. All eyes will be on the next post, quote, and cryptic comment until then, because nothing happens by chance in this game. Additionally, 50 is playing for more than just attention. He is playing for publicity, legacy, and possibly even justice. And he has